Okay, so hi. I was going to do this with my nice camera, but I keep hitting tech issues, so we're just gonna do it like this. What's up? I'm Sydnee Goodman. If you didn't know that, well, now you know. So obviously my hair is different. It is darker again. It is gonna fade out a little bit though, and we're gonna put some blonde on the bottom again, but I digress. That's not what this video is about. This video is about my mental health journey. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this because I feel like a huge reason that I didn't want to help myself initially is I was really ashamed of the idea of seeing a therapist or admitting that I needed that, or that I could benefit from that. And at the end of the day, I truly believe that anyone could benefit from seeing a therapist. I mean, you're literally paying someone for you to talk to and for them to analyze you and let you know the best way that you can be your best person. Okay, stop. So I am about to talk about my mental health journey, but I also will say I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed in anything. This is purely just from my own experience. And if you think that this is an emergency or you need someone to talk to, I will include, hotlines down in the description for your convenience and just to help you out, because again, I am not a therapist. I am not licensed. This is just my journey. For me, my journey specifically, sorry, I'm gonna get comfy. Oh, strap in. My journey specifically started when I got out of college. And I went to school, I majored in biology. I thought I was going to be a doctor or a surgeon or a dentist. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to do that. And I'm really proud of myself for getting to the point where I was like, this is not for me. I would be unhappy if I did this. But also, I mean, just because I made that decision, I was super lost, didn't know what to do. I was piecing something together and I ended up getting a job at a college. And while I was really grateful for the opportunity, and I still am, and I was learning a lot and I was excited, I ultimately was like, where is this going? I mean, I went from having a very set career path in that, when you're a doctor, you're a doctor and like, that's what you do. And suddenly I just didn't know, I felt like I didn't know myself. I was like, what am I doing? And I think also just making the decision to not pursue something in the sciences or in like the medical field was really illuminating because I realized I never really wanted that. It was something that I was very motivated by what people thought I should be doing, what I wanted to do, what my parents thought I should be doing. I wanted to do what, the people I went to high school with thought I should be doing. I felt like I was so motivated by external sources that I had never really looked internally and asked myself, like, what is it that I want to do? So what actually led me to therapy, because that is not something that was even remotely on my radar, was that maybe 6 months before I decided to see a therapist, Alex actually pointed out, he was like, Sydnee, you seem like you're always anxious. I think maybe you struggle with anxiety. Who knows if he approached that the correct way. In either case, I'm so glad he said something because it did plant a seed for me. But I was super offended when he said that. I was super hurt. I was embarrassed that this person that I loved and like admired thought that about me. I was embarrassed that like I was having these issues because they were true. I was just like, I was not pretty. I was very hurt and unhappy. And I think that's also very illuminating of the kind of where I started in my journey, in that I thought that going to therapy admitted that you had a problem. Like only people who like have huge issues go to therapy, right? Which is judgmental and wrong. I think literally anyone could benefit from seeing a therapist. And ultimately, so we left that there, and then maybe 6 to 8 months afterwards, I was just in this place at work. I mean, it had gotten worse that I felt so empty, and I felt so like almost hopeless in a way, because I was like, what's the point? Like, what am I doing? Like, I don't understand what my goals are. I don't understand where I want to go. I don't understand if I even like doing this. Like, what am I doing? And ultimately, I got into this dark place. It was the first time that I really was in a depression. And at the time, I didn't know what that was. For me, it shows in like, I'm really tired. I'm super lethargic. I don't really want to do anything. Everything takes a lot of effort. My appetite changes. My sex drive changes. I have a lot of changes, right? And I was so apathetic and just like, well, what's the point? Like, what is the point of all of this? And ultimately, I had gotten in such a deep, dark hole that I was like, I need help. I do not want to shoulder this burden on Alex anymore. I do not want to shoulder this burden myself. I don't want to put it on my family. Like, I need somebody to help me. I want someone to help me because I do not want to feel this way. And I think ultimately remembering that, like, there's so, like, the world is so big, and I have so many people that care about me, and I care about myself, and like I want to live in a life that I'm happy to be living, right? And so I went to my insurance portal and I just looked up random therapists in my area. I looked for people who were close. That was like my number one thing, was I did not want to drive very far. And I found a really awesome lady. I found her by I would just open a bunch of tabs of therapists that were covered by my insurance and then look at their websites and see if I jived with them. A lot of their websites aesthetically are not pleasing, which was really hard for me because that's something that's like oddly important to me. But she talked about like spirituality, she talked about meditation, she talked about being mindful, and I had previously started meditating. I don't really remember what turned me on to that, but meditating already was making such a big difference that when I saw that, I really connected with it. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. So I made an appointment with her. I remember my first appointment. I saw her on Sundays, and I was so nervous. I like want to say I didn't bring a resume, but I definitely had like printed out paperwork. Maybe that was just paperwork. I don't know. But so she asked a lot of personal questions. Obviously, if you are interested in seeing the therapist, no, they will ask a lot of personal questions. And I cried a lot. And I just remember after seeing her, well, after the first session, I didn't really know that I liked it. I wanted to stick with it, but I remember it wasn't something like off the bat where I was like, this is amazing. How did I not do this earlier? Like, I love her so much. But it was something where it did feel like I knew I could talk to her and I knew I could be open to her. And I think that's important when you're choosing a therapist, is like, first of all, like, don't be afraid to shop around. If you don't feel comfortable with somebody, like, that's okay. I mean, the whole thing is about you being able to be open. And I think with therapy, you get what you put in. Like with my therapist, I am so open. I have decided that like I want to share my embarrassing thoughts. I want to share things that I'm ashamed of, because like I want to get down to the root of like, why am I ashamed of this? I don't know if I hope that's helpful. I mean, that is my journey of seeing my therapist and kind of the decisions that made me do it. I think that the biggest thing for me was initially I went to go see her because I was feeling stuck in my career. And off the bat, we tackled that. And obviously now I am a host, and that's what we discovered. Like, my inner heart was telling me that that's what I wanted to do, but I was too afraid to admit it to myself. Like, that's the thing, was even if I asked myself, what do you want to do, Sydnee? And I didn't listen to the kind of external things, I didn't know how to answer that question. And it was ultimately because I was fearful. I was so afraid to admit that I wanted to host or be in front of the camera, because I knew that was really hard and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it, and I didn't want to fail. And breaking down that wall was kind of the first really big like breakthrough with my therapist. But maybe you're asking yourself like, well, Sydnee, then like, why are you still seeing a therapist? I think it was something where she had just helped me so much that I was like, I'm not a perfect person. There is probably so much that I have to learn about myself. I kind of touched on it already, but other things that I do just to keep my mental health in check is I do like to journal. I haven't been journaling. I just haven't had time, and it's not something that I've been prioritizing. But meditating is something that I do relatively regularly, like multiple times a week. And then I'd like to do it every day, but I'm not there quite yet. And then working out. That is the number one thing that I do that just has completely changed my life. I've always been active, but I haven't been consistent with working out. And I'd say in the last like 8 months, I work out almost at least 5 days a week. I'm moving, and that has completely changed my mood. It's completely changed everything. Like, I love it so much. And it's kind of my like meditative time in the morning, where I have this 1.5 to 2 hours that's my time, and I'm not sharing it with anybody. I'm not doing anything else. Like, I just kind of get in the zone, and that's really helpful for me. Another thing is podcasts. So I listen to this podcast called Unfuck Your Brain. It is geared towards women, but men can definitely benefit from it as well. And it just talks about how like your thoughts cause your feelings, and your feelings cause your actions. And that's a really good free resource to people who are maybe interested in learning more about your mind and learning more about like how to control your thoughts. I think for me, I always took pride in the fact that it's like, no, I like to feel things, but this podcast has helped me figure out how to control my feelings, so they're not controlling me. Because I think I was a little bit of a mess in terms of I was just like being thrown around everywhere, because I was like, oh, I feel this, oh, I feel that. And now I can kind of be like, okay, I feel this. versus being like, ah, those are the big ones. I really hope that that's helpful for everybody. A huge reason why my viewpoint changed on mental health and therapy was honestly when I worked at BuzzFeed. They were so open about that, and I remember sitting next to this super like badass lady who like worked really hard. I had so much respect for her. She was super beautiful. She like was stylish, and I thought she had it all together. And I remember her being like, oh yeah, I have to take like my anxiety medication, or like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see my therapist. And I was like, whoa, she's so open about it. And then I realized like, yeah, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. And I hope that this video can kind of act as that for even one person, and it's worth it to me to put up and share my story. So with that said, maybe you're thinking like therapies isn't an option for me. There are a lot of free resources for you and for people who it's just financially not in the cards for you. I will put a link to that below in the description. And that's about it from me. Yeah, I don't know. I wish you guys all the best. Sorry, my hand's starting to shake. I wish you guys all the best, and I just like really hope that whether or not you think you need therapy, just like loving yourself and taking steps to get to a place to love yourself if you don't right now, or you feel like you can't, is so important, and it will change your life. It feels really weird right now to like plug myself, but if you like this video, maybe comment about your own journey, or I don't know. It just feels so weird to promote myself. So I'm just going to end this, but thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. And I'll see you guys all next time.